When we talk about AI and robotics in manufacturing, we're not just talking about improvements anymore. We are on the edge of a full-blown revolution. It isn't just about making factories a little bit better, it's about completely rewriting the rules for how we make, well, everything.
So let me ask you this. What if a factory never turned off its lights? Not because it was running 3 shifts, but because there was literally no one inside to see them. Now that sounds like science fiction, right? But that one question pretty much sums up where modern manufacturing is headed. This new reality even has a name, and it's a pretty powerful one. It's called the dark factory.
So what is a dark factory? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. A facility that is completely autonomous. It can run itself 24/7 with no need for any human presence on site. And listen, this is no longer some pie-in-the-sky idea. As AI and robotics get more sophisticated, these automated plants are going from just being prototypes to becoming a reality. And this kind of autonomy unlocks something absolutely incredible. A dark factory, it isn't bound by human limits. It doesn't need breaks, it doesn't get tired, it never calls in sick. What you get is a level of productivity that just shatters all of our old ideas about what a factory can even do. But here's the thing, this revolution goes way deeper than just running factories around the clock. AI is actually redesigning the very act of building things, and it's doing it through a principle you could call radical simplification. To really get this, you have to picture an old-school car assembly line. It's this chaotic dance, right? You've got robots and workers all welding and fitting hundreds and hundreds of separate metal pieces together just to build the car's frame. Now, compare that old way to this, a technique called Giga Casting, which automakers like Tesla are pioneering. It completely replaces that entire complex process. It takes those hundreds of parts and all those steps and consolidates them into one single automated and incredibly precise action. I mean, this just lays it out perfectly. You go from hundreds of different parts down to one, from a whole team of workers to a single automated process. It is a massive leap in efficiency and precision, and it's totally redefining what a factory floor even looks like. All right, so we've got factories that run themselves and building processes that are radically simpler. The next piece of this puzzle is solving one of the oldest headaches in manufacturing, managing inventory. And AI is transforming these huge stockpiles of parts into finely tuned real-time streams. So, how does this actually work? Well, you've got an AI system that is constantly analyzing everything. I'm talking customer demand, supplier schedules, even weather patterns that might affect shipping. Then it uses all that data to predict exactly what the factory needs and when. The result? A perfectly orchestrated flow of materials arriving just in time to be used. And the impact on the business side? It's huge. You're not wasting money on parts that are just sitting in a warehouse. Production doesn't grind to a halt because you're missing a critical component. The entire operation just becomes leaner, faster, and way more efficient with its money. There's a line from the source material that really just nails this idea. It's not just about being more efficient. When your supply chain is run by an algorithm, the entire pace, the entire rhythm of production changes. It's like it becomes this dynamic, self-adjusting organism. Okay, let's move on to the next pillar, quality control. This is where AI's capabilities start to feel almost superhuman. We're talking about factories that can spot flaws that are completely invisible to the human eye. And the difference is it's night and day. A human inspector gets tired, they can be inconsistent, and they're obviously limited by what they can physically see. An AI vision system, on the other hand, works at an incredible speed with perfect consistency, and it can spot microscopic defects that no person ever could. But it doesn't stop there. The really wild part is that this AI vision goes deeper. It's not just inspecting the final product. The AI is also turned inward, watching the health of the machines and the entire production process itself. It's like the factory is becoming self-aware. Think about this. The AI can detect the tiniest little vibration or a slight temperature change that signals a machine is about to fail. It can then predict that failure and either automatically correct the issue or shut things down before a catastrophic breakdown happens. We call this predictive maintenance, and it creates this incredibly reliable, self-regulating environment. Okay, so we've gone deep on the technology, but the big question is, what does all this mean for actual people? Let's talk about the most important consequence of this whole revolution, its impact on the future of work in manufacturing. To really grasp where this is all heading, you gotta look back at where we've been. This chart tells a really dramatic story. Back in the middle of the 20th century, manufacturing employed more than a third of all private sector workers in the US. Today, that number is down to about 9%. And this new AI revolution, it's not about reversing that trend. It's actually pushing us toward even smaller, more efficient, and more automated factories that can produce way more than the giant plants of the past, but with just a tiny fraction of the human workforce. And this is the absolute core of it all. The old jobs, the manual, repetitive tasks, those are being replaced. But in their place, new jobs are being created. The focus is shifting away from physical labor on the assembly line and moving toward highly skilled technical roles. Things like maintaining the robots, supervising the autonomous systems, and managing all of the data. So the big takeaway here is this. Manufacturing isn't going away, not at all. But the job of a manufacturing worker is being fundamentally redefined. It's a massive shift away from physical labor and towards technical expertise. And that leaves us with the single most important question of this entire transformation. We know this revolution is going to create enormous value and productivity, but who gets to benefit? Will these massive gains lift up the whole economy, or will they be concentrated at the very top, among the few companies that own the AI and the highly skilled workers who know how to run it? That is the challenge we're all left to grapple with.